Hi, glad you're here. Welcome back to An Army Issued Life. I'm going to do a video series on deployments. I feel like this is a very popular subject, and for spouses who've never been, through a deployment before or are gearing up for deployment, I hope that this video can help you and help smooth your transition into that deployment. For civilians who are just curious about what deployment is really like, well, I hope this answers some of your questions. So for those of you who haven't gone through a deployment or don't know how your spouse or how our spouses find out about the deployment, there are a couple different ways. You can find out pretty spur of the moment. That can happen if you're going to a new unit and you don't know what that unit's deployment schedule cycle is like, and you get to a new unit and they're like, oh, we are deploying. Get ready to not only figure out how to live in this new place, but how to do it alone and how to get through a deployment. That happens. Sometimes you are with a unit and your spouse is with the unit for a while and you know that it's coming, but it's always best just to expect that it will happen. If it hasn't already happened for you, you will go through a deployment at some point. If you are in the military, if your spouse is in an MOS that deploys. So just if you already start working on that, how your reaction is going to be, just kind of that expectation, you are going to help yourself in the long run for sure. So now that we've talked about how you can find out different ways that you find out your spouse is going to be deployed, let's talk about your reaction. So if you have in the past been known to have negative reactions to bad news, then it's going to be really difficult for your spouse to break the news to you after they find out they're deploying. And sometimes they're so scared to tell you that they will do it over text or calling, trying to give you a heads up that there's going to be some bad news. It's almost like a breakup. Some people just can't do it face to face, so they text it or they call it, and some people are like, I've got to do it face to face. So if you are disappointed in how you found out, then that's worth talking to your spouse about. Maybe you'll figure out that they did that because you have a past of reacting really badly. Concentrate on your reaction. If you haven't been in that situation before, already start working on it. Seriously, I know that sounds crazy, but like if you have visualized this predicament in your head, then when it actually happens, it's going to be a lot easier to control your reaction. Your spouse doesn't want to tell you, and try to take that into consideration. Try not to fly off the handle and be angry and mad. Absolutely, it feels like a kick in the stomach, and it's like, oh my God, like it's not only scary, it's sad. Like you're like grieving the separation that you're going to have. Don't beat yourself up about if you have a bad reaction. Like they're probably expecting that, and just think if like they were expecting the absolute worst reaction and you hit them with something super positive, like they're gonna be floored. They're going to be so thankful for you and for your understanding and for your excitement and your encouragement. They're not going to forget that. They're going to know you've got their back, and that's so important. And try not to be in denial about the reality of the situation. So absolutely, like, give yourself some time to react. If you just need to process the information, you know you're not going to react great, you need time to think about it, just say, okay, like, give me some time. At some point, you will probably encounter this. You found out that your spouse is deploying, and they seem really excited about it, and they're really happy, and they're really focused on this deployment and packing and all the stuff they have to get and the mission ahead. They're like, you know, really starting to bond a lot stronger with the people at work. And that can feel intimidating and that can feel scary, especially if you are not on board with the deployment. If you're not in the mindset like, I'm ready to take this on, then that can cause some issues in your relationship. But just realize and try to keep in perspective that this is what they train for. This is the job that they practice doing their whole life, like their whole career in the Army. Don't be the wife that pesters and complains about it because you are making their job a lot harder. You want to send them off in a really positive way, so they're not worried about you back home, because when they have to worry about you back home, they're not focused on the mission at hand. And sometimes it's super important for them to be able to be present in that moment and not being worried about you at home. So moving on to the next thing I want to talk about is, as soon as you find out, after you've had your reaction, start preparing yourself mentally for what you are going to be taking on, because it's not easy. And don't be in denial about the extra responsibility you're going to have to be doing. Don't be in denial that your spouse is going to be leaving, because you are going to be you're making it so much harder on yourself. Concentrate on imagining the extra jobs you're going to have to be doing, how you're going to tailor your schedule, your family schedule, to work in your favor. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you to face the challenge head on and accept it. When you do that, you're going to make it so much easier on yourself. This next part is really fun. I love to do this. So after you've been mentally preparing, which happens the entire time, the lead up until they deploy, is plan something really fun for your family. So sometimes you get leave before deployments, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't have the money to go anywhere. So just do something casual. Dave and I, the last deployment, he was going to leave like right after Mother's Day. So we planned a picnic in our backyard, and he barbecued and I baked these really cute lemon tarts that were so delicious with blueberries. And we laid out a blanket. The kids just laid on the blanket. We ate like we were kings and queens, and we had music playing. We had so much fun. We intentionally took the time purposefully to make some memories, spend that quality time together. It's a great opportunity to like step back in the moment and to be so present and be like, I'm going to remember this. Like, think about how you're feeling and what's going on, and it's memories you can pull from during the deployment. And it also gives you a chance to kind of find closure, like to tell yourself it might be the last, opportunity you're gonna have as a family to do something like this. So just kind of prepare yourself for that, and so you're ready in the moment, and afterwards that you feel prepared. So it's important to plan out something. If it's a spur of the moment deployment, that can make things more difficult. But even if it's like, staying up and watching a movie one night, do something fun that will give you a memory to hold on to. Next, and lastly, I want to talk about the emotional distancing that you go through as a couple before deployments. This is a real thing and it does happen. Do not freak out about it. It is a totally natural process. So there is a emotional cycle that you go through for deployments. Go look it up, like it's a real thing. And after you find out, like the first thing that starts happening, especially as the deployment gets a lot closer, is you just naturally start distancing yourself. It's a way to prepare yourself and not be so dependent. It's a way to for them to prepare themselves, they have a million things to do at work right before deployment. They've got so much to pack. They've got so much on their minds, and they should be focused on what they're going to be going through. And so you're both kind of living in separate worlds for a little bit. Sometimes, you know, at first, if it's new, it's challenging and it can be disappointing, and it's definitely the opposite of what you expect, because Hollywood portrays like deployments like you're gonna spend all the moments you have together wrapped up in bed and snuggling together. That is not the reality of what actually goes on. Maybe it is your reality, that's great, but for most people, you know, you kind of have more fights, you're not vibing like great, and then you start freaking out about, oh my gosh, like we're just like not on the same page, or like I feel all this distance. That's okay, because that will change when you're actually on the deployment. Things will turn back around and you'll, you know, it'll get better. It won't stay that way continually through the deployment. It's just what happens right before. So don't freak out about it. It's natural and it's totally okay. It's really a gift. It helps you prepare, and that way it'll be a lot easier on you afterwards. So, and also take time to plan like what you're going to do after you drop them off. Saying goodbye is incredibly hard, and if you can have something to look forward to afterwards to do for that day in particular, even if it's going to pick up a pint of ice cream and watching Lifetime all day, do it. Like, if that's your thing, you do you, and have something planned though. Have something on the calendar. Don't just leave it up to chance, because chances are you're going to be drowning in your own sorrows and you're going to be a mess, which is okay to be if you plan to be that. I would love to hear your suggestions, things that you do to help you get ready for deployment, or funny stories about your reaction, or ways that your spouse told you they were deploying. All of those can be really fun stories after the fact. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please reach out. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Please jump on Instagram, #BattleBuddies, and let me know what you think, and I can't wait to get to know you better. Thanks for watching. Oh. They're keeping up with all their, yeah, just cut that part. Yeah, that was bad. So, hi. So I'm going to do a 3-series video, I'm going to